I'm going to show you how to set up a canvas in Procreate for specific dimensions. When you open Procreate to start a new drawing, you want to hit this plus sign up here in the top right corner. And there's a bunch of pre-made canvases, and I typically will use the paper size or a photo size, but when you want to create something a specific size you don't see here, like we're doing, we're going to create one for a Facebook group cover photo. Hit this plus sign up here at the top, and now we're going to type in the dimensions we want, and this is in pixels. You can change to inches, but here we'll type in 1640 by 856 and then hit create. Okay, now this canvas is the exact size we need for a Facebook group cover photo. And you can zoom in and out and move this around to make it more convenient for you to draw on. You can pull it over here to the side so you can keep your hand off the screen while you're drawing if you need to. Yeah, so I'm just pinching with 2 fingers to do that on the screen. Now let's look at your tools. Let's start with brushes. This blue brush right here, just tap on that and it's going to open your library, and you have all these different options that come preloaded with Procreate. You can also import different types of brushes. If you go down here to imported, I've imported a plain stitch, and I use this just to mock up my stitch line if I want for a customer mock-up. My favorite right now under inking, I use the technical pen, and that's what I typically draw with. It's pressure sensitive, so you can taper off lines or get a press harder to get a darker, thicker line. Okay, but also here, these sliders on the left side of the screen, the top one, that adjusts your brush size. Pull it down to get a smaller, finer line, and the sliding bar below that is opacity, so you can get a lighter line. For drawing, I always keep that all the way at the top. I want a nice dark line. Let's see, what else do I need to cover here? I think that's it. Let's go to color. Okay, in the top right corner you have, right now it's pink, this little circle is your color, where you select color. And at the bottom of the menu you can see there's different ways you can select what colors you want to use, and you can create your own palettes to save colors you've created. I like to use the disc option, this outer circle here. Move that around first to get close to the color you want. I like to sketch in pink or turquoise, and so let's select a turquoise here. And then the inner circle here, this is the one that's going to be your brush color. So get that where you want it, and now I've selected that color, and I'm just going to tap back on the canvas, and now I'm ready to draw. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and clear these, and you can use an eraser, but the faster way to undo your gestures here is to tap with 2 fingers. So I just cleared all of those off by tapping with 2 fingers at a time. Let's go over your basic gestures. If you can't draw a straight line to save your life like me, Procreate's for you. Okay, just make a line and hold your pen down until it straightens out. Now up here at the top you could edit that. You could make it an arc, or as long as this is highlighted, you can move your line around. This is really helpful if you're trying to match it up on a grid to make your border. You can move that line, you can shorten it, lengthen it, whatever you need to do to line that up. When you're done, just tap on the screen, and now you're ready to move on. Okay, same thing with circles. You can make a circle No matter how wonky it is, just hold that pen down until it snaps into a nice shape here, and it usually is going to give you an ellipse. Just tap up here at the top where it says edit, and maybe I didn't do that fast enough. Just clear that out and start again. Okay, hit the arrow. That's what I didn't do. The arrow here will give you an option for circle. Okay, with your circle, now you can, if you drag these dots, it's going to distort your circle, which you can do if you want. But in order to resize this and move it around without distorting it, you want to go up here to the selection tool, which is the manual selection tool. Looks like a little S ribbon shape here on the left side of the top. Okay, we're going to manually select the circle and then hit the arrow, and now we've selected it, and we can drag these out. You can move it, you can rotate it. Okay, when you're done, just hit the brush to go back to drawing. Okay, one other gesture that I use a lot is curves, and it's the same thing. Make your curve shape and just hold the pen down, and it'll snap into a nice smooth line, and then you can hit the edit button and you can change the shape of that arc. I use this a lot for when I'm drawing scrolls and leaves or vines. Actually, for pretty much everything, flowers too. I'm going to use that to clean up my drawing. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is layers. Up here again at the right, you have these two little squares. That's your layers menu. I like to have separate layers. I'll usually start with my first layer being the borders for a design. Then I'll add a layer to start sketching, or if you're doing a photo, you'd want to put your photo in and then add a layer on top of your photo to trace it, and then add another layer to start drawing around that. You want to keep your elements in separate layers so you can turn them off or move them around without moving the entire drawing.
Bobby, lunch is ready.
Thanks, sweetie. Okay, let's do a little sketch. My process is typically to sketch in color, and I'm just going to do a flower real quick. Hit the brush. I was on erase. And that is your eraser up here, this block. I'm going to do a flower center and switch that to a circle. And let's erase these lines. Oops, I am in a different. I'm just going to turn off layer 1 to get those out of the way, and we'll look at layer 2. Okay. So I just get my basic shapes going here, and I'm a messy drawer, which is why I like to do a sketch layer, and then I'll go back and clean it up in a separate layer. And this is my go-to flower shape right now that I've been using a lot. So that's what I'm doing. So sometimes I get really messy and I just really scribble a lot trying to get the shape I want. And that's a little bit wide. Okay, so, and I'm just adding extra on here to make more of a point as a sample. Okay, so once you have a messy drawing there and you have some lines you like, let's go into layers, add a new layer, and this is when I'm all finished with my sketching. I'll switch to black, and you have a history here. You can click on black in the history, or you can drag down here to the bottom to get to black. And now in my new layer, and let's just check. Okay, I'm in layer 3. Now I'm going to clean these up, and I'm going to hold that down to get a nice smooth line, and I want to go a little bit bigger. Now, doing a curve like this, where it curves 2 different ways, you have to do your curve in pieces. And sometimes I need to clean up where those join a little bit. Let's redo this one a little thicker. And this is just the process I've developed for sketching and then cleaning it up to get a really nice looking finished drawing that I'm going to send to a client, and that I can trace onto leather to get a nice clean design. And see, I held that one down and it gave me an equilateral, which is not what I want. Let's see what polyline looks like. Nope. Okay, I'll just clear that. And then I'll do my two curves separately. And that overdid it. So curves can be a little bit of a challenge, and sometimes I will redo them to get them how I want them. But for the purposes of this video, we'll just keep moving. And I usually do taper off on my flowers. I'll try and do that here. I like a good taper. And you can go back in with your eraser like these lines. Oops, let's make that smaller. You can clean up these lines, and the same thing, hold down your eraser mark. If you hold it down, it'll make it smooth, and you can also move it. So that's one way to clean up your lines as well. Okay, when you're happy with your outline here, just go back to layers, and let's turn off, just uncheck this mark right here, and we're going to turn off layer 2, and what you're left with is you know, should be a nicer, when you spend more time on it, a nice clean line drawing. And sometimes I do need to go back and clean up a few things that I didn't quite catch. But anyway, let's make sure I covered all my notes here. Yeah, hopefully that's enough to help you get started on some drawings. We'll have another video coming up soon on tracing and adding your, adding a photo and tracing it, adding borders and using the grid. And then I'll have another video on copy and paste and moving elements around so you can get a layout before you start sketching. All right, hope this was helpful.